What's up, agents? The Werewolf Gamer here. Today, we're talking about something that doesn't really get enough love in my opinion. That's right, we're talking about Armor Regeneration. Seems like every time legendary content comes up, it's all about maximum damage. Either strikers, tipping skills, or negotiators dilemma. Don't get me wrong, meta builds are strong, but after thousands of hours in this game, I've learned that sometimes staying alive is way more valuable than shaving a few seconds off your time to kill. This setup today is built around 3 pieces of the Gila guard or Hila guard, just brand set, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Basically, when you have on 3 pieces, that gives you 2% armor regeneration. Plus, you get a little bit of extra health and armor as well. Add in the mix the investor mask. Me and you know what this do, but if you don't, it gives you bonuses based on those non-core attributes. We do have on a pair of prototype Emperor's Guard knee pads, which is also giving us about 1.5% armor regeneration. And to top it off, we have the Liquid Engineer backpack for another 1% armor regeneration. All that together is roughly around 7.5% armor regeneration. And this feels incredible. Honestly, you don't even need any protection from the lead on this build. And I don't in this gameplay. The trade-off though is lower damage. So I recommend you pairing it with a high base damage weapon. But the bottom line is, every gear set in my opinion has its place. This is about surviving and finishing missions, not chasing speed records. If you're new here, I'm the Werewolf Gaming. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notification bells so you can stay informed whenever I do drop content. Alright agents, let's get into it. Alright agents, so today we decided to go with the UIC-15 Mod 2 rifle. This weapon is prototyping. To prototype a weapon, you must first level it up to level 30 expertise, and then you'll be able to prototype it. And again, it is augment level 4, and we do have an echo augment on it, so every bullet fired has a 1.8% chance to deal its damage twice. As far as the stats on this weapon, we do have 15% rifle damage, 26% critical hit damage, and 15% damage to target out of cover. One reason why I do enjoy this rifle is because it comes with pretty good weapon handling. As you can see, the accuracy, stability, and reload time is decent. And the talent I do have on this gun is called Strain. You gain plus 10% critical hit damage for every 0.5 seconds you are firing. It stacks up to 5 times, so essentially a max stack that's 50% increase in critical hit damage. The mods we do have on this weapon is 5% critical hit chance mods and plus 15 rounds in the magazine. So we were using the Primma Donna as our secondary weapon, and as you can see, this gun is amazing, and you can obtain this weapon from the Paradise Lost Incursion. If you're new and you don't know what that is, basically right here, the Paradise Lost Incursion, you do have a 1% chance to get it from each boss that you take out, and you have a 10% chance of obtaining this gun from the chest. And if you have multiple characters, you can run each character through. For our sidearm, we were using the quick step pistol primarily for the talent, but this gun is amazing. If you don't have it, I recommend you use any other weapon of your choice. The talent is called Sport Mode. You will get plus 20% movement speed bonus, but it does not stack with other movement speed bonuses in the game. Alright, so with this build today, we do have on an investor mask. For the core attribute, we do have weapon damage. We do have 3 blue cores, that is 10% explosion resistance, armor regeneration, and 10% hazard protection. Now, the talent is what truly shines on this mask. It's called Slotted, and you receive bonuses for each non-core attribute. So those blue cores on this mask are my non-core attributes, so keep that in mind. Basically, you receive bonuses for each non-core attribute. So for each red, you'll get 10% critical hit damage. For each yellow, you'll get 5% skill efficiency. In each blue, you'll get 1% armor regeneration. As you can see, I got 3 blue on my mask, so that's giving me 3% armor regeneration. So this one item alone is giving me 3% armor regeneration. So that's amazing. There's currently only one other item in the game that gives you 3% armor regeneration. Okay, so the only other item in the game that gives you that armor regeneration would be the Memento Exotic Backpack, which actually gives you 3% armor regeneration. Now this backpack comes with all 3 cores. That is a weapon, an armor, and a skill tier. And the talent is what really shines on this backpack though. It's called Kill Confirm. Enemies you kill drop a trophy on death. Collecting those trophies provides both a short and long-term buff. The first with scales with the number of core attributes equipped, and this lasts for 10 seconds, so essentially that's your short-term buff. So if you look at my build, each red core will give me 5% increased weapon damage, each blue will give me 10% bonus armor, and each yellow will give me 5% skill efficiency. So keep that in mind. Now the long-term buff is for every trophy collected, you gain an additional plus 1% weapon damage, plus 1% skill efficiency, and 0.1% armor regeneration for 300 seconds. This does stack up when you get max stack, which is 30. You have 30% increase in bonus weapon damage, 30% increase in skill efficiency with 3% armor regeneration. On top of that, each time you pick up a trophy, you're getting bonus armor. On top of that, you're also getting bonus weapon damage depending on how many red cores you have, and bonus skill efficiency as well depending on how many yellow cores you have when you build. So this is an amazing backpack for solo or even in groups if you can get those trophies collected. Now again, the Vest of Mass is amazing. Now the only thing is, to get these attributes to what you want, you will have to spend exotic components to keep rerolling. So I mean, I would recommend if you got one that gives you 2 blue, that's great because that's still 2% armor regeneration. Or, you know, even if you got one with 2 yellow, that would be what, 10% skill efficiency. So ultimately, it can be kind of hard to roll all 3 of the same colors. Now again, we do have on 3 pieces of the Gila Guard brand set, which gives us 5% total armor, 60% total health, 2% armor regeneration. If you look at our core attribute, we do have an armor core, and the attributes we do have on it is 12% critical hit damage and a 6% critical hit chance. Now the talent, in the first part of the gameplay, you will see in Roosevelt Island, I was using a different talent, but the talent I do have on it now is Obliterate, and critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds. This stacks to 20 times, so essentially that's 20% increase in more weapon damage when you do have max stack. So you do want to have a pretty high crit chance when using this talent. So like I stated earlier, there are other talents that will work great. The first talent, the talent that is often overlooked, is that I was using in the beginning of the gameplay, was the focus talent. And this increases your weapon damage by 5% for every second you are aiming while scope with an 8x or higher scope. So keep in mind, it has to be 8x or higher. You get up to 50% increase in more weapon damage at max stack with this. So, and it does last pretty long. So even if you was to, you know, stop scoping to reload, you'll still have some of that buff active. So this is a great talent that you can use, especially when you're going to be camping. Now, some other alternatives would be glass cannon. This build right here, especially in heroic, glass cannon will work great, but all damage you deal is amplified by 25%. But keep in mind, all damage you take is amplified by 50%. So, you know, amplified damage is a lot of damage. But this build right here that I have on today, you can play with this build on heroic using that glass cannon, and you'll still be able to survive a good bit of that damage that it's doing to you. Now, another talent that I do enjoy using in the setup is the Intimidate talent. And basically, while you have bonus armor, you gain 3 stacks each second up to a max of 9. Each stack increases weapon damage by 4% to enemies within 10 meters. So keep in mind, they have to be within 10 meters. So essentially, that's 36% increase in more weapon damage. Now, if you have the Hunter Killer's chest, which is the name chest, you can get up to 40% increase in weapon damage, which is great as well. Now, another talent that would have worked great and would have been the Unbreakable talent, because when your armor is depleted, it will repair 90% of your armor. This does have a cooldown of 60 seconds. And if you're playing in a group with teammates, you can use the Vanguard talent. Deploying a shield makes it invulnerable for 5 seconds and grants 45% of your armor as bonus armor to all other allies for 20 seconds. So that's great. It does have a cooldown of 25 seconds, but you want to make sure whenever you do pull that shield out, you're using it at the right moment, because again, it does have a 25-second cooldown. For our holster, this is the second piece of the Hilo or Gila Guard set, brand set, which we do have an armor core. We do have armor regeneration and a 12% critical hit damage attribute. And again, if you needed to get more crit chance on your build, you can easily roll that to a critical hit chance, or whatever you want on it. You know, if you wanted to run like a headshot, you can roll that to headshot. Basically, whatever attribute works for you. You know, if you have the setup the same way I got mine set up, you can easily just re-roll that to more crit chance or whatever you need. Now, these Emperor's Guard is a part of the Murakami Industries brand set, and one piece does give us 15% skill duration, which is great since we are using the decoy. This is a prototype level 1, augment level 1, so we do have quantum on this, which provides a 1.6% chance of becoming immune to damage for 2 seconds. This bonus cannot refresh while it is active though, so keep that in mind. For the core attribute, we do have an armor core, and the attribute that normally comes on these knee pads that makes it special is that 1% armor regeneration, but since this is prototype, it is giving us 1.5% armor regeneration, which is great, and we do have a 6% critical hit chance attribute. Now, if you don't have these knee pads, agents, just use well, you can use the regular ones if you don't have the prototype version. That work just as good. You can even use improvised gear, which you can craft at the crafting station, and you can put armor regeneration on that if needed, or even up the Bellstone armor gives armor regeneration as well. Now, the third piece of the Gila Guard or Hila Guard is the gloves. For this, we have an armor core, And the attributes, we got a 12% critical hit damage and a 6% critical hit chance attribute. The backpack agents, this is the Liquid Engineering backpack. It is a part of the Bellstone Armory brand set. And when you have on one piece, it gives you 1% armor regeneration. This is prototype as well, and this is augment level 2. We do have the trophy augment on it, which health is increased by 6% of your base total armor. So we got a 6% conversion rate there. So that's why we're sitting right there at 756,000 health, which is great. Ultimately more survivability. For the core attribute, we do have max armor of 255,001. So that's amazing. That is what it did max out for me when I prototyped this. And for the attributes, we got two 12% critical hit damage attributes and a 6% critical hit chance. The talent that really shines on this backpack is called Perfect Bloodsucker. Healing the enemy as a stack of plus 12% bonus armor for 10 seconds. This stacks up to 10 times. So it max stacks that is 120% bonus armor. Keep in mind, each kill does refresh his talents. Now, there are other talents that will work great. This build, you do so much damage, especially if you're playing heroic or anything like that. I would just change it to a damage talent. But if you need something a little bit more survivability, Adrenaline Rush was another great talent you could have used, because whenever you're within 10 meters of an enemy, you gain bonus armor for 5 seconds. This stacks it three times, so that's 60% bonus armor. It does have a cooldown of 5 seconds. Like I said, there are many other talents that I would recommend. For example, if this wasn't legendary, I would just change it to a damage talent, because this build has so much survivability already. You really don't even need that extra bonus armor when you're playing on heroic or anything lower. And again, that Adrenaline Rush basically gives you that bonus armor whenever you get within 10 meters of an enemy. So this will pair great when using the Intimidate talent, because you know you're within that 10 meters and you'll be getting that bonus armor, and whenever you're getting that bonus armor, you'll be doing bonus weapon damage. Now, the Matador backpack is the name version that gives you the perfect Adrenaline Rush. This is amazing as well, because instead of that 20%, you'll be gaining 23% bonus armor for 5 seconds. So that's 69% increase in bonus armor whenever you get max stack. And again, it does have a cooldown of 5 seconds, but you know, if you don't have it there, the regular version works just as good. Now, if you don't have it, I do recommend you can use just the regular Bellstone Armory backpack. And again, you can change the talent to whatever you want on it. For example, if you're not playing legendary or anything, just put it whatever talent works best for you. If you want more damage, Vigilance is an amazing talent, because it increases your total weapon damage by 25%. But taking damage disables this buff for 4 seconds. It goes by pretty fast, so you won't really be that much of a problem. Now, Unstoppable Force is another amazing one, because killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 5% for 15 seconds. It stacks up to 5 times, so that's 25% increase in weapon damage for 15 seconds when at max stack. And keep in mind, each kill does refresh that talent. The Companion talent will work great as well, because while you're within 5 meters of an ally or a skill, your total weapon damage is increased by 15%. I often use my turret or my drone. That way you'll be getting that 15% increase in damage at all time. Composure is another one that's great as well, because while you're in cover, you will get increase in weapon damage by 15%. Playing legendary, you will definitely be in cover, so that'll work great as well. For our skills today, we did go with the decoy, but this works great in legendary to draw some of the aggro away from you. And we did go with the Revival Hive to get that second chance to get back up. But always use whatever skills work best for your gameplay. As you can see, no global or seasonal modifiers were active whatsoever, so you don't need any of that to make this build work. Ultimately, just a very fun build. A lot of armor regeneration. Armor regeneration is fun. Let's take a look at our weapon stats. Now, since we do have on prototype gear, we do have 1.6% damage immunity chance, 6% conversion rate of our health, and 1.8% double damage chance. So base weapon damage with the UIC mod 15 is 278,084. We do have 49% critical hit chance. Keep in mind that we can get that higher by just simply re-rolling attribute on a holster to 6% critical hit chance. But ultimately, we're still doing pretty decent damage with that 49% critical hit chance. The cap is 60. We do have 143% critical hit damage. And again, that holster, we can easily just re-roll that to 6% critical hit chance to get more critical hit chance on this build. We did also, again, 443% critical hit damage with 80% headshot damage. If you take a look at our Primma Donna, this weapon is amazing. We do have 710,076 weapon damage. Critical hit chance didn't really matter much. We did have 34% with 117% critical hit damage, 176% headshot damage. This gun is amazing because of how it performs. I do want to say that in the gameplay, somehow that talent gets transferred to your primary weapon sometimes. So in the beginning of the gameplay, it was actually on my UIC mod 15 rifle. the talent that you get on the Primma Donna. So I don't know how that happens. It just happens sometimes. But so you got to pay that some attention, because if you are using it as a backup or a way to survive, you switch to your Primma Donna. That's what I like to do a lot. If I think I'm going to go down, or these enemies, they try to one-shot you, you got to pay attention to what talent. Make sure that talent is actually on the right weapon, because when you switch to it and it's not there, you will go down. And again, I don't know how that happens, but if you look at my armor, we did have 1,913,471 armor, 191,347 armor on the kill, and look at that armor regeneration, 153,360 armor regeneration. So that's a lot of armor regeneration, a lot of survivability, and then max health of 756,175. All right, so let's take a look at our class specialization. We did go with the gunner for the ammo management, but you could use whatever class specialization you prefer. The gunner, basically every third reload is 50% faster. Your armor kits repair 100% of your armor and grants 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds, so you need enough time to get the cover. Also, killing enemies grants 10% armor back on the kill, and you will have access to the Banshee Pulse, which launches a Fort Art of Pulse Energy that disorients enemies caught in the wave and penetrates through cover. So those enemies that are hiding, you can get them out of cover. The supply line talent comes with this class. You generate 10% of your total ammo capacity every 60 seconds, and party members will receive 5. You get the barrage talent, which your rate of fire is increased by 5% on the kill for 5 seconds. Also, when you're not moving for at least 1 second, you get 10% increase in weapon handling, which is great improvement to all weapons. Don't forget to equip the correct weapon element to get your bonus and 50% weapon damage. We did not have the marksman rifle equipped, but that would have gave us 5% increase in more marksman rifle damage. Keep in mind, I only had the Primma Donna equipped as a backup, but I was using it whenever necessary to give a little bit more survivability. Ultimately, it's a great this weapon is amazing. If you haven't obtained it, I do recommend you go play the Paradise Lost Incursion to get it. Now, some other weapons that would have worked great with this build. Now, the Bighorn would have been amazing as well, because of the talent that comes on the Bighorn as well. As long as you get those headshots, you will be stacking up damage. So that is another great option in my opinion. If you don't want to use the UIC 15 Mod 2 rifle, or you just don't have it. But if you had the Bighorn, that would work great as well. The Backfire is another weapon that makes up for a lot of that damage, because you can get up the talent on it is called Payment in Kind, and dealing damage to enemies as a stack of plus 2% critical hit damage up to 100 stacks. So essentially that's 200% increase in critical hit damage at max stack. This lasts for 10 seconds, and on the reload it does apply a 10-second bleed to you. This build has so much armor regeneration, you won't really get affected too much by that bleed. And when you do, at a certain point, I think when you get 100, when you get the max stack, basically you'll become immune to that bleed at some point anyway. So ultimately, this is another great option to help get that critical hit damage up more. Now, shotguns would have worked great with this build as well, because like I said, this is a high armor build. So shotguns, they did a lot of damage. So that would have been another great option. Could have used something like the Sheriff shotgun, or even a Scorpio shotgun as well. The Sheriff is great because it allows you, it doesn't really have that damage drop off, so that's amazing. So you can hit those enemies from further away. The Sweet Dreams is another weapon I do enjoy using in Legendary because of that talent, the Sandman talent. This allows you to instantly kill non-elite enemies. So there's purple and red bar enemies you can take out pretty easily, but does have a 15-second cooldown. Now the Primma Donna, I did not go over this talent earlier. Let me go over this really quick. The talent, this gun is amazing because it actually comes with 2 talents on it. And the first talent is called You Can Look. When out of combat, you receive 10 stacks. This weapon deals 12.5% amplified damage per stack. So essentially that's 125% increase in amplified damage at max stack. The second talent is called But You Can't Touch. And you gain, well, 1 stack is automatically consumed to fully repair 1 instance of damage you receive. And 1 stack does replenish every 3 seconds. So this is a great all-around survivable weapon. Gives you offensive and defensive talents that allow you to do massive damage and survive. So ultimately, that's just another great alternative. Now, another weapon that I did not mention that would have worked great with this build as well, but you have to build up stacks. And again, you cannot switch off of that weapon when you build up the stacks, and that is the Kameen assault rifle. Basically, you get all sorts of bonuses based on hitting those enemies in the head, body, or legs. So keep in mind, this is another, but again, you have to build up those stacks to build up that damage. So this would have been another great weapon to use whenever you're running these high armor builds. All right, agents. So some other things I do want to mention. For one is that this is an armor regeneration build, so you won't be doing as much damage as tipping scales or even a striker's build. But what this build will bring to the table if you was to use it in groups is that you can draw a lot more aggro, so that way the damage builds, well, people that have the damage builds in your group can do a lot more damage while you are drawing that aggro. And also, two other things I do want to mention is that, of course, your SHD watch level needs to be at least level 1000 to be at the same baseline of doing the same amount of damage as you see me doing in the gameplay. Of course, your expertise level will play a part as well, because that is 30% additional weapon damage that you can get when you do have an expertise level 30, or if you do have one prototype gear, which everyone can obtain right now. As always, agents, these builds are just templates. Always use whatever works for you. And again, if you're playing in groups, just keep in mind you won't be doing as much damage, so just make sure you try to help out as much as you can, because those striker builds and stuff, or if these gear builds are usually catered to solo gameplay, because I usually play this game solo. But as you can see, if you already subscribed to the channel, you've seen I clear strongholds solo with these different variety of builds, because that's what keeps this game going, is having the variety of different builds instead of always playing what someone tells you to use. With that being said, agents, I appreciate each and every one of you for your valued time and continued support. Stay strong, stay sharp. D Werewolf Gaming out.